Our service today has been all about rock. So in this sermonette, I have cunningly and subtly woven some famous rock songs for you to spot. Sometimes I may have stretched the term rock to breaking point, but it's still rock and roll to me. Thank you. When you hear one, feel free to start singing it quietly to yourself, or just groan at another bad dad joke. It's the reason I became a father, by the way, so that I could make dad jokes legitimately. So we started out in the psalm just after Boney M's favourite about the rivers of Babylon, by thanking God, not just for giving rock and roll to us, but also for ensuring that we Christians don't fear the reaper. There's some Blue Oyster Cult fans going on, just smiling there. Then we progressed to thinking about how rock was quarried and how we were cut from the rock that was Abraham.
But that's not an outside blanket.
After this, we turned to what Peter, whose name means rock, said about us being living stones, being built into a great temple. And finally, we heard Jesus himself telling us that he would build his church on the rock of Peter's revelation. I don't want to spend too long on this talky bit, so you can take it easy, like the Eagles. I'll take that laugh. There's just one or two things I'd like to point out. Firstly, where is this taking place? They're in Caesarea Philippi, which appears to have been messed up in translation. Caesarea Philippi. This is not to be confused with Caesarea Maritime, which some of you may have been to if you've been to Israel, which, as you know, is sitting on the dock of the bay. I know, not strictly rock, but I did give a proviso. Before Herod's son Philip named this after himself and Tiberius Caesar, it was called Paneas. Today it's called Banaeus, but that doesn't matter. Wherein was a grotto in a rock face. A grotto in a rock face, which you can still see there. That was the grotto of Pan. It was a massive centre of idolatry, notably to the pagan Greek god Pan. Many people had chained themselves to the service of falsehood here and been imprisoned to it. You could say that it was a jailhouse rock. That deserved a groan. It's here that Peter makes his confession that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of the living God, his own personal Jesus. Thank you. Naturally, this pleased Jesus, who seemed all shook up, that Peter had finally figured it out. But what do these titles mean, though? This is a picture I took myself. This is the Garden Tomb in Jerusalem. So it is believed that that door is where the most important event in human history took place. Very exciting stuff. Though other people make a claim for the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Are you here for a tour of the Holy Land? No, shut up, Tim. Get on with the sermon. Okay, then. What do these titles mean? The Messiah, or in Greece, it's the word Christ. Did you see what I did there? Yeah. Or in England, where certain pistils sing "God Save the Queen," we would say that He is the one and only. Oh, hello. There we go. This is a figure, of course, that the first century Jews would have known to have been divine. The Old Testament hinted throughout that this was a divine figure that's coming. Listen, do you want to know a secret? This was Jesus' big secret. He showed himself to be Messiah quite often through miracles and through teaching. But each time he urged people to maintain the sound of silence. Finally, Peter spots it. There's never a wrong time for Simon and Garfunkel. But how does this relate to us in our modern age? I'll press it again. Is it going to go wrong? That's going to be a lot easier, thank you. Do we find people misidentifying Jesus as a prophet or a moral teacher today? Unsurprisingly, we do. Everyone wants Jesus to be in their camp. So they make him out to be the first communist, or a karma chameleon, or a Muslim prophet, or an enlightened Buddhist who's gone to nirvana. It's a nice place, but it smells like Teen Spirit. Thank you. But history, real history, forbids us from believing in these mythical ad hoc Jesuses. The Christian faith is the only one that is founded on Jesus' person, teachings, and crucially, his death and resurrection. This, by the way, is said to be Golgotha. Now, whether it actually is a matter for the scholars to take up. I don't know, but certainly you can see there's two eyes and a nose. But what erosion would have had to do with this, I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced of that. But I took the picture, so I put it up there, and it's got rocks in it. So remember, Jesus, not the stone roses, can legitimately claim, I am the resurrection and the life. Okay, no one said stone roses, fair enough. That wasn't good. Not only this, Christianity is the only faith that is in accordance with the historical record from his disciples and their disciples. In fact, if we compare the New Testament to other religious writings, it was finished within the first century, so within 70 years of the events it reports, as opposed to the hundreds of years and miles involved in the texts of, for example, Islam or Mormonism, who would both walk 500 miles just to fall down. So you want to do that? That's a little bit. So we can be sure by history, logic, and by faith that the only Jesus worth considering to be the real one is the one we know and love personally. So, the only remaining question which we have to address is, who do you say that he is? Is he a great moral teacher or a man of God like Moses or Abraham? Or is he, as he claimed, God incarnate? He claimed this in John 8 by declaring himself to be the I am of Exodus 20, the burning bush, although we didn't start the fire. It has been a while. He said he was the same Son of Man in Mark 14 who would come in the clouds, quoting Daniel 7. The Jews understood him to be equating himself with God in John 10 and Mark 14, where they tried to kill him for blasphemy. He showed his omniscience, predicting Peter's denial in Matthew 26, and his omnipotence in the resurrection of Lazarus in John 11. He even accepted worship from Thomas in John 20, when he said, my Lord and my God. That was the disciple Thomas, not Tom. I don't think the disciple could play the piano, though I don't have any evidence for that. In the light of all this, I put to you the same question. Who do you say he is? I'm going to close there. I hope that this has been a stairway to heaven and not a highway to hell. I hope you are now all knocking on heaven's door. or at least living on a prayer. I trust none of you have any sympathy for the devil. I hope this has lifted you on the wings of a dove and brought you to know your own personal Jesus. So finally, are there any questions or suggestions of song titles I should have used?